Love, Money and Rock and Roll is a visual novel that's been in development for over 5 years for the same studio Soviet Games, which is responsible for the iconic Endless Summer. Now, if we take it as given that a visual novel at first and foremost an interesting book, I have two choices. Either Love, Money, Rock and Roll is just an ambitious, but in fact immensely drawn out, clicked, ridiculous, illogical and college-ages graphomania book, or it's exactly the same book which closer to the final, especially on repeated passages to the endings, does start to seem better and grow into something more. Let's sort it out. Why is this book full of stamps? Judge for yourself. The action is set at a Japanese school with lots of pretty girls in a short skirts, between which our protagonist, a high school student, is torn. The unrequired girl in love with us, ready for self-sacrifice and even, it seems, suicide is here. She does, her name is Himitsu, and she resembles Sori from Doki Doki Literature Club in places. A cold and proud ex-girlfriend who can still hurt us and who the protagonist is still in love with. Available, her name is Catherine, the modest nerd, and how about that? Meet Kagome. There's a girl named Ellie, the queen of the school and the lead vocalist of the rock band and a member of the Golden Age, who is ready to punch her in the face if need be. She looks a bit like Alice Trachevsky from Endless Summer. Then the enemy cliches of another kind are added, from a spy thriller involving the KGB and the CIA, Japanese intelligence, fourth-generation ballistical missiles, and long-legged blonde scouts. If Endless Summer was nostalgic for the Soviet past, here for what? Soviet cranberries and cheesy spy novels. I did not notice any other significant sign of synth pop of the 18th. In any case, the mixture of anime, KGB, graphomania and the eccentric distress of protagonists look rather ridiculous. Yeah, about the graphomania and the tossing. The protagonist of Love, Money and Rock and Roll is frankly distasteful, to say the least, in contrast to the Simon from BL, who was on the whole natural and served more as mask. Here we see a more elaborate character-driven image, but it is uncomfortable to associate oneself with him, and not too desirable. The son of the Soviet immigrant engineers Nikolai Anotkin has been living in Japan since his childhood, but he has not got rid of his Russian self-recrimination, self-doubt, constant reflection, as well as the drunkenness and debauchery that have become absolutes here. Nikolai lives alone on the money left by his parents, who seems to have died in a car accident. He is shown the way he sleeps, his girlfriend prepares food for him in the morning, and afterwards he goes to school, where he does not want to study. He is also often seen in bars and nightclubs, where he drinks regularly. But it's too difficult for Nikolai to make any important decisions, to choose who he loves and who he truly cares about. Instead, he constantly plugged not even into reasoning, but into empty runs full of clever quotes, names and other ostentatious eruditions. Hegel, Yesenin, Hemingway, Hitchcock, telephone calls as if they were coming from a black hole, whose even horizontal sounds can escape from. Street lamps dimming their lights so as not to wake up dire inhabitants. Nikolai's personal existence vessels that have survived yet another storm. Vulgar literary cliches like across the ocean of suffering, a soul wounded by suffering, a musky haze of grey everyday life, and alongside all this, there are jokes about Zhevsky and confession that one is supported stupid having not read the Brothers Karamazov. I realize that BL also suffered from graphomania, and there could find description in the vein of a fleeting vision like glint on the glasses on a rainy autumn evening, which make you turn around and stay into the darkness for a long time, searching for something flickering at the edge of the field of vision, but in the epic-sized Almer, All the verbal and intellectual mishmash start to get frankly boring after just a couple of hours, and there were no 400 walls in Braille, which only stretched the passage. Even finding himself on the verge of starvation, Nikolai remembers old movies and quotes from here. After an important call, he wonders, I wonder if they care that we are actually flying a piece of rock hundreds of kilometers in a second through the cosmic void. And when he finds out that the girl he loves has probably been kidnapped or something else serious has happened, he either gets drunk or goes shopping. The endless autumn of reflection and verbiage is clearly visible to those around him, who can see that Nikolai is behaving like a schizophrenic. He is quarreled with one because he openly admitted, I love another, but told his beloved that no, the quarrel was not about her. And then he got the succinct reply, this pseudo-philosophical bullshit is for her, not for me. And the inability to make a choice is starting to piss off not only us readers, but the character as well. One of their friends is already yelling and picking a fight. Can you tell me clearly if you are with her or not? But instead of a fight, all we see is hysteria and involuntary insults for everyone, including the girl he seems to love. Better yet, he would have finally slapped someone in the face, done something harsh, serious, irrevocable, or would have slept with one of the girls. After all, our hero has been running away from sex for a long time too, which seems completely illogical. So does his flawed behavior, at least for a man of his age. And here there is a very important point. All this pseudo-philosophy crap, reflectivity and what's about my extensive board, incapability of making a choice, historical wrings of hands, and the plunge into the abyss of the alcoholism, docevism and self-abnegation that follows, we see it performed by an 18-year-old high school student. Not only teenagers do not speak and think in such pseudo-intelligent language, but they also do not behave that way. Why not just change the 18-year-old pupil for a 13-year-old teacher? I mean, it immediately gives a different coloring and makes you believe the hero a lot more. I can understand self-compromise, indecision and associated drinking. I myself experienced a similar thing, grunting over the choice between the two. But I was far from 18, different experience and weight, 7 years of marriage, children, and finally, and in any case, I was not trying to find answers in endless quotation from Hegel or reflection on the cosmos. There were simply no more words. That's it. You can make it as an artistic device. The scriptwriter deliberately hyperbolized all this verbiage and reflexity to show us what they can lead to do. But then he doesn't guess at the circumstances and protagonist himself. You can't believe them. In fact, one can still understand Nikolai to some extent. Often he behaves so illogically simply because the circumstances of the story are illogical. The girls who engage in verbal and moral onanism behave illogically. Yesterday they were lying in bed and smiling, but the next morning they leave strange parties north, they admit that they betrayed him, and then are surprised that they are offended, and so on. It all adds up to a 10-20 hours round dance of general verbiage, absurdities and self-corruption that not everyone can endure. There is, however, a reason to endure, and in these anime visual novels it all well known. It an opportunity to read not to me, but several stories to determine the development of events and get different, good or bad, the endings with all the girls. True, you can't say that everything is perfect in love, money and rock and roll. The consequences of some decisions are not all obvious. A couple of phrases, location change, some endings didn't seem very logically connected to our choice to be. Sometimes it's surprising that we ask to choose where to go with the girl, to the bar or to the park, to the cinema or to the walk, but the opportunity to decide whatever to agree to work for the KGB or not, to forgive a character or not is not given. Still, in other words, that it's branches of the story that leads to other endings with other girls. Such a choice may appear, and overall the authors have came up with really different scripted stories and endings that can both surprise and even shock. Also, some of the routes are more interestingly written than others. They are little missing, albeit not entirely, with Sid reliving non-trivial thoughts and trivial feelings, and the well-written characters are also noteworthy. Yes, some are better and some are worse, but it's a fact that a lot of work has been done.